Welcome to Cheques Play, the best casino podcast. Let's do it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're English.
My English.
Remember, Angel? It's hot. I won't let. My dogs are gonna start barking.
But really, how many languages do you speak? Honestly.
Oh, so I speak like Polish, which is my native language. I speak German. I speak Spanish. I speak English and English.
English. But you know, because I'm feeling really good. I'm really getting pumped up. I've been here now just about 5 years in the Dominican Republic, and my Spanish. And I lived in Spain when I was in the Air Force, but that was over 40 years ago. And my Spanglish was street.
Yeah.
But my Spanish is like impeccable now. It really is.
Really?
Oh my gosh! And
Say something, because like when we first met.
No, well, I had some guys working on the water heater today. They came in, and they were all smiles, and I was giving them directions, and everything was taken care of. Like, for instance, I told them, like, it says, mira, por favor, señor, mi gordo en mi lechuga es muy bien ahora mismo, porque mi pelo es más grande que tú. You understood what I said?
Yes, I understood.
What did I say? Why are you laughing?
But it's super strange. Like, it was like my ass and my hair are very good. And what was the other part?
I didn't say that.
It didn't make any sense, you know. So you were speaking like with with the construction guys. Guy. Great! So
he smiled and he went back.
So they could follow your instructions.
He followed. They went back. They followed me into the room back there, and they fixed the water heater. You know, he wasn't following my ass, but you know.
Right, I see.
Then I told him muchas gracias.
Yeah.
Ahora mismo yo quiero muchos esposo tuyo conmigo por todo día, mañana y otra noche, porque tus hijos y mis hijos chupa mucho. What?
I don't know if I should like translate.
It was perfect Spanish. They smiled, they fixed it, they tightened the nuts.
I don't think did you get punched?
What did I say? What did you think? The Spanish is not as good as you think it is.
Yes, it is.
Tell me what I said.
You basically said, like, I want all your girlfriends and for all the day or all the night to come, because me and my friend's sons will.
No, I did not. You know what? Forget it. You need to.
I will not say the ending. Like
you know 3 languages. You don't know Spanish just yet. Speak Spanish. Spanish.
Pero ¿qué quieres que te digo?
Habla mucho. Dímelo.
Bruce, eres tan guapo. Me encantas.
You get me off track here. We have somebody waiting to talk to us. Okay, let's get into this here. Okay, we have Stacey Noble with us today. So, okay, forget all that. No más español para ti until you learn more Spanish. So I'm done with that right now. Okay. So today on our podcast, this is Cheques Play Casino podcast. I'm sure everybody knows. Maybe after today is gone, it's going to be canceled. But you know, they won't. YouTube is going to cancel us, and LinkedIn, they won't let us back up because your Spanish was so messed up. You messed up my thing.
Yeah, yours was perfect.
Today's going to be exciting because I can't wait to get into this conversation. And the way I was connected with our guest, her name is Stacey, is that when we put up posts on LinkedIn or YouTube, Stacey is like one of the first persons that like us. And either she is really cool and she likes what we're doing, or she just don't have anything else to do, you know. But I really think that she is she sincerely likes what we our guests that are on Cheques Play podcast, And also I saw that her and I worked at the same property many, many years ago. Her name is Stacey Noble. She's the senior security enhancement. She's going to correct me on this. The senior enhancement security director.
Good.
I think she's going to correct me. She's
Put
going to correct
yourself
me.
together.
I don't understand the acronyms. SES director, business development at Johnson's Control. Okay. Business development. She's the manager. And she has an interesting outline that she sent us. And I can't wait to dig into it and open the box and really pull out some stuff. So, ladies and folks on our podcast, let's see if I can hit the right button and bring her on. This is Stacey Noble. Hello, Stacey.
Hello, Casa.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. It's
Very
a
much.
great pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruce. Bruce is my boss. So
Really?
Cheques play. He right in the dice pit. Cheques play.
How was he as a boss? That's
Wait a minute. Wait. Are you serious? You're being serious?
Uh-huh.
At the MGM? Because I saw that on your bio.
Absolutely. You were the man.
What were you going to say, Stacey, Casa? You were
Please
asking?
tell me, because
He was a great boss. He was very open.
really.
It was inclusive. He was open-minded.
Mm.
And I mean, we opened a casino up in Detroit, and most of the time the dice pits looked like a nuclear war with the smoke, like an atom bomb just went off above all the tables. And
Wow.
we sure had a rush of people, and it was a very interesting commerce format to bring into Detroit. And I do not believe that anyone in the gaming industry saw what Detroit had to bring with the loaded dice and all the hustle and the muscle. And we worked really hard to open up the casino, the MGM Grand.
Did you get trained there, or were your
Yes,
experience there?
sir. I was an original cast. You were one of my trainers. I was a croupier. Sure.
Wait a minute. Okay, were you in the class that I had? Because I remember somebody brought this to my attention, and because I started training, and then Mike, what's his name? He took over, became the president and director.
And Mikey O'Connor.
Mikey O'Connor took over my class.
Yes,
Because I
sir.
became the director of the school.
I was in that class.
And when my dice students were learning craps, I was a stickler about hands,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
about check cutting and stick calls. And so when a person was on the stick, learning the stick calls, you were reading coming out, crap 11, Indy 7, world bets, horn bets, high, lows, and news. And if they made a mistake on the game that was really asinine, I would have them take the stick like a baton and marching band and walk around the whole classroom saying, coming out, crap 11, Indy 7, world bets. Do you remember that?
I watched that from a distance. I was a high stakes dealer, and we had a lot of fun watching. And then when Mikey O'Connor took in and not backfilled your role, but picked up and started training the class, I still use the first resource of information that Mike O'Connor gave us while we were on live games, especially in craps, and literally so applicable in life. He said, that feeling you get when something just doesn't feel right? And we were all sitting there like, yeah, that's because it's not.
True.
And it's so true. And just the practical applications that we learned in
Wow.
the MGM Grand Academy.
Back in 1998.
1998.
Wow, I remember. So yeah, because the classroom had other classes, like there were baccarat classes and roulette classes in the whole arena, and so I would have the students walk around the whole arena, because I was just from the military. Sometimes put yourself out there, and a little bit of embarrassment makes you not forget. It makes you work harder so that you're not put out there. So, yes, Casa. So you heard it from her. Okay, validation.
Do you remember Stacey?
No, I don't.
So how can you be a good boss, Bruce?
It was opening, so there were so many. How many employees?
Yeah, so many people.
Couple thousand.
Thousands.
Yeah, a
Okay.
couple thousand.
Thousands,
We did the recruitment, all of the recruitment, the interviews, the
wow.
training, setting up the minimum internal controls, writing the curriculums,
The gaming
everything.
commission.
The gaming commission, everything, and that was a great experience, other than the cold weather.
Mm.
So all that to say, welcome, It's good to see you again. Maybe.
Of course, no, it's a journey. This is
Yeah.
the journey. This is when we come back to each other and we say,
Wow.
this is where I've been. This is where,
Mhm,
but it's such a part of people. And I think
mhm.
unless somebody has worked in the gaming industry, and even in my current role, I run into folks all the time. Oh, I was in security or I did XYZ, or I was a dealer before in the gaming industry. Gaming teaches you a lot about people as well as how to just respond to people. And I do know this is that the emotion is always what people remember. I
Mhm.
can walk in and I've sold over $300 million in components in my life and sales post casino. However, the casino taught me it's the emotion and the experience, that interaction that people have with
Right.
us that they remember. They
Right.
forget about everything else. You could sell them anything, you can talk to people about anything, and it's the emotion that you leave them with that really is that impression of who you are. And it's wonderful. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's great to see you. You look good. You don't even look like you changed one bit.
Yeah,
That is.
about this, like there is a saying, I'm not sure, Bruce, do you remember who said this, that people will forget what you did, people will forget what you,
Yes.
I don't know, I don't, but they will not forget how they feel with you.
How they made you feel. Yes, that
Made
was
you feel, yeah.
Maya Angelou.
Oh, okay.
Maya
Yeah.
Angelou. That's a very good one, Casa.
Mhm.
What is your fondest memory from that experience, Stacey?
In the casino?
Yes, going into the MGM, breaking, and you were in sales prior and then went into the casino?
No, I had Tony Caglaria was a friend of the family, and he actually was the shift operations manager from the slot operations arena. He
Okay.
came down to the Harbor Club where I has been working as a bartender, and he was looking for me to come in and talk about a job. And he had gotten back into Detroit, walked into this restaurant bar. It still is there. It was very beautiful, and it still is. And he said, come on down to the casting call. All in all, I grabbed another young lady, brought her with me for the interview because she was looking to do something as far as a career move where we could set ourselves up for
Mhm,
success. And she is like me, was a single mother. And I bring her down, and a gentleman named oh goodness, one of the bosses jumps out and he was like, where are you headed? And we said, well, we're going to go Brooks. Remember Brooks?
Yes, we call him Brooksy. Robert Brooks.
Brooksy.
Yeah,
Brooksy
Brooksy.
jumps out and he says, you're not going to slots. You're going into table games. Come on, girls. And it was, but the prize memory was the first day. It was the Wizard of Oz up on a screen, and Dorothy was following the yellow brick road, and MGM really rolled out the red
Well,
carpet
that
for
was
their
that
casting
was
call.
that was Brooksy. Brooksy, and if you remember his voice, I don't know how long you were there, but he's like Rocky Balboa. He has that street, South Philly sound.
He did.
Hey, I can picture him, and he was really kind of muscular built. He looked like a boxer. And hey, come here! I can hear him. I can hear his voice. A great guy, man.
He reminded me of a cross between like Al Pacino and The Godfather.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah.
Yes,
Was it Brookstein or Brooks? Brookstein, I think it
I
was.
think
Yeah,
so. Brookstein.
yeah.
But he was great.
Mhm.
He was great. I still have friendships from the casino. It's been such a long time, and to say that, watch people get married, we've watched people have kids,
Yeah.
change jobs, change careers, but also the diversity in those that I worked with. I worked alongside of doctors and nurses and EMTs, and many people come into the gaming environment, I do believe, just to have that where you go in and you just have a good time and show everybody a good time. So
Yeah.
that's the memory.
Yeah.
And then we got robbed. Janine and I got robbed by gunpoint in Detroit one
Mm.
night after a shift. So that was an incredible turning point too within the gaming industry. So we were robbed right on First Street down in Detroit, and it was out
Wow.
of sight. They left
Wow.
the cell phone in the car, and I'm a dealer, and she was a dual rate, and we just looked at the plate on the car, and we called it in because the cell phone was there, and they were arrested really quick.
Wow.
But
Okay.
she and I got into an argument because she was trying to tell the robber guy to give us our driver's license because we didn't want to go to the DMV in the morning because we worked swing shift.
Right. Yeah. Forget my life. Just give me my driver's license, please, will you?
That's what she was saying. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Janine, you're telling the robber guy to give you your driver's license. The robber guy doesn't want to get, she's like, well, he has to understand he's from Michigan. And I'm like, why are you?
Not
And
that bright.
these two guys were looking at each other like, what kind of women are we robbing? You know, it was really interesting, but
Right.
they did get apprehended. That was the casino. And I had opportunity. I went on and I became a boss myself.
There at the MGM?
No, I opened up the Hard Rock Hollywood with the Seminole tribe. So I had that opportunity.
Oh, you went down to Florida.
I did.
Okay. And I was in Tampa. I didn't know that you were there.
Yes, sir. I saw
Okay.
that, and kind of, these crossing paths in this industry as always.
There we had a bunch of folks that came from Detroit up there. I won't go through all the names and things, but I couldn't wait to go here where I'm going to go right now. Okay. And trust me, when I open up peel off this particular onion right here, there's no morals clause here on Cheques Play Casino podcast. Just understand that. I saw in the bio that you left MGM. I don't know if you went straight to Hollywood or not, because now I'm just learning that from you. But what I did read was that you left MGM to have a sex talk show or something. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Look at the big smile that you had on your face there. Okay. So, and me, I really didn't want to talk about this. Casa wanted to talk about this, just to let you know. I said, no, Casa, I don't want to talk about that. This was Casa's idea to bring that up, just to be clear.
Casa, you wanted to talk about it's the sex talk show.
Yeah, well, I'm super curious about this. How did it happen?
It is a great story. So we all have a testimony. I was a TA in school teaching human sexuality.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yes, a teaching assistant in college with human sexuality. And there was a producer, Nanette Workman, who was creating Taboo Talk. And Taboo Talk was a show to follow Howard Stern. And it was about alternative sexual lifestyles. And I was like, okay. So when she approached through the TA program at the college, university, she was looking for talent, a lady to come on and co-host for Sex Talk. Well, we went through many interviews, and the young ladies, there's emotional maturity and there's maturity about sex. I was teaching from human sexuality standpoint, gender and all different types of aspects and people and alternative sex and why people have sex with what they have sex with. And if it's not people, it could be things and animals and all that. And she was like, well, why don't you give Taboo Talk a try and you co-host, because I have this co-host that she was paying really big money, Kevin Scallion. And he was on the Delilah took the show over. So Kevin Scallion, your voice in the night. So they gave me a name. My name is Veronica. And we wound up screening all of these calls in these piloting shows for syndication. And they were really strange. It was the most interesting thing that I had ever done. And the goal was to have an acquisition and have the show, for syndication rights. And it was acquired. She made a lot of money. And then Kevin and I never got paid. But this was
TV or radio?
Radio.
Okay.
I was on the radio. I was so excited.
Well, because I'm asking for a reason, because, just like if you remember Dr. Ruth, right? The sex therapist. She didn't look like she would be talking like somebody's grandmother wouldn't be talking about sex. And she was very explicit. She was very, direct and so forth. And the same with you. You don't look like, you don't have the appearance that you would be talking about sex on TV. So really, give us an idea, back up a little bit. Give us an idea of what you would be talking about. Some of the things. It's okay. If it's too bad graphic, I'll cut it out. But
We will cut it.
go ahead. Listen. You want to be on
with
Cheques Play.
alternative sex, when you take us back to that time, we've had so much change in the last 2 decades and how people not only view sex, but view sexual relations amongst either polygender and the variants of
what's polygender?
well, if someone is like a tran and they live they have a covert lifestyle. People
Okay.
were very hidden. Now people are very, open, and
Closet.
finally in society, people have the opportunity to be who they are
Mhm.
and respectfully represent that on the exterior side. What we were talking about is what people were afraid for other
Mhm.
people to see and hear, and the dark side of sex. Like, it wasn't just 50 shades of gray, it was 50 shades of every rainbow and anything you could. I was shocked in some of the conversations about animalistic type sexual activity.
Give us one that really sticks out in your mind. That's like, oh, I mean, if it's not gory or whatever, but give us a little something here.
I will. There was a gentleman that could not have any type of sex with the exception of fellatio. So fellatio is oral sex, and he really, like, what turned him on was only fellatio. So he had erectile dysfunction, and then he wanted just fellatio. And he never understood why women, or men, when he had this fellatio or the act happen,
With
that they
men
would
too?
become the fellatio, the oral sex,
Okay.
why they would be, stopping. And in the conversation, he started to describe that, he always ate a lot of spicy food because it seemed to really get him, amplified. Well, ultimately, his testimony, and the reason that he came to share this fellatio experience, is that as he was eating the spicy food, what he wasn't realizing is that he became so relaxed while he was having his experiences. He would
You would do what?
a little bit.
Ooh.
So he said that, people would stop with the sex and, the oral fellatio, because he would have these shocking experiences, and he wanted to share that's what happened to him, and that. And
he meant to, but something else happened.
No, I
Yeah.
didn't understand Bruce neither. I mean,
Yeah, well, you wouldn't understand that word either because it's the translate. I don't think you say that in Poland
no,
or.
not at all.
it's really bad. And
I'm sorry I asked about that, but keep going. So this.
no, that's one of the examples that stood out on, because
Yeah.
it just, I mean, it made an impression on
So-
myself as a heterosexual woman, because I always looked at a man and thought,
So you don't eat spicy wings, I mean, like that. I mean, you stop eating.
that was our advice, not to eat any type of hot food prior to the
Never-
engagement. Try
there's-
sugar or sweet. Don't try spice.
I gotta ask my
But this
buddy.
person, this person was at the talk show, like was looking for what? For advice, or he wanted just to
share.
present himself?
They like to share. It's interesting. People that are into alternative sexual lifestyles, they are inclined to be very discreet and private in their professional acumen and their day-to-day. But when they have the opportunity, and unlike having a video, and indifferent than having them have to provide a real name and who they are and what they do, they could indemnify by being, we had all kinds of like rogue names, Pokemon, Smokey Robinson. So they would give an alias name and kind of play under that window. And we had a lot of fun with them. They were interesting. They were different, and they definitely had alternative sex. Lots of poly relationships, a lot more open mindsets towards co-curricular extramarital affairs. That was interesting, like where they actually liked it.
It reminds me of in Vegas. It was crazy when working in Las Vegas, the different conventions that took place, such as alternative lifestyle conventions, and our customers that would come in. That's what the casino business exposed you to all of those things, and you had to roll with the punches, so to speak, go with the
But
flow.
what do you mean, Bruce? Like
Well, say you work in the slot department, you work at the cage, you work as a dealer, and even here they had a show here in Punta Cana, and I forget what they call it. It was a whole week, and there's people who just remember they can't do that at home. And when they go to Las Vegas or go to New Orleans and go to Punta Cana, nobody knows them, and all that stuff that they have that they do in the closet, they can do out publicly because they're not going to be recognized. So they can really let their self flow, and there's a lot more to it. There's all types of cruises and things like that people attend,
Mhm.
And don't act like you don't know, first of all. Okay. But don't act so like
I'm
you don't know,
not, but
like you
I'm
don't
just
know anything.
no. I'm not acting like that, but I'm just interested, like what they
You
are
know,
doing.
yeah, I'm asking for a friend, right? Yeah. I'm asking,
Yeah.
I'm asking for a friend. So in Las Vegas, they would have an alternative lifestyle show, and you're dealing, and all of a sudden the guy comes up and his wife and his woman, and they're a husband and wife. You know that they are because you're rating the players, and it has their names on the card. I'm just coming up with some kind of an example, and maybe some other guy comes up, and you think it's a stranger, and next thing you know, he's grabbing the lady's behind, and the guy's smiling there. The husband is there, all happy, and you might say, "Hey, yeah, look at her tits, yeah, how you like them?" And and all types of things like that. And
Mhm.
that was Las Vegas. And I remember after a shift, my coworkers, we went to the Stardust, and there was a convention there, and we were just in the bar in the lounge area, and people were coming out from their, I guess they had a setup area, and they had all kind of swings and whips and all kind of stuff. And they would come out sweating and come out for a drink, and they'll be half dressed and stuff. And it was like normal. Everybody's doing their thing, acting like it's not even there. It's transparent. You can see right through it. And a lady sits down me, waving her hand, talking about, another all day, and I'm going to say, really? But I'm going to have to cut all that out. But
It
anyway, I'm
makes it
sitting.
interesting. It makes it interesting when I had gotten into the telecommunications industry. I was sent out to the Consumer Electronics Show, and to the point of Las Vegas being really unique, and you have the Las Vegas Convention Center. It's a monster of a building.
Mhm.
Well, on one side there's the Consumer Electronics Show, and for many years simultaneous there was the porn convention in
Yes. What,
conjunction.
at the Venetian or something?
No, that was at the Las Vegas Convention Show as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
So you'd have the people coming in to see the phones and the devices, and then you'd walk across the way, and then you'd have the porn stars with their booby tassels on and 8-foot long dong, mechanical toys for sexual play and pleasure. And at that same time, we had the Democratic convention being held in Las Vegas. And this was like for many, many years. So you had CES,
Mhm.
porn, and politics, and it was
Mhm.
all in one. It was just great to sit at the bar. You never knew what to expect. You could have the porn star, you could have the congressman, and you could have, Samsung all in one shot. It was just really
It's
interesting.
a great
Stacey,
business.
let's maybe jump to another topic.
Are you sure you're done? Because
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
done. I'm done.
Okay, good.
Because right now you are CEO of OPS US.
Director of Affairs, yes, or it's ops.
Yeah, and this is a pest control company, right?
It
As
is.
I saw on the website, it's a pest control company.
It's
Okay,
a pest, it is. It's a pest control company, and it actually is part of IPM. So
Mhm.
one of the things that every IPM is integrated pest management. One of the interest that I have within that is I'm a hobby beekeeper, and
Mhm.
I'm a fly fisher. And I noticed that my bugs are going away on the rivers. And then year after year, I've had colony collapse, and I wondered why. Then looking at arson content in water, and me not using any type of pest controls around my puppies, and my daughter at the time was young. I thought, well, what are people doing? What are they using? And I found out about how arson and pathogens and things affect people. So my niece is in horses. She is one that rides some of the horses with the Rolex. That is the Kentucky Derby of jumpers.
Mhm.
And she warms up. She's not the riders, but she also does barn management and such. And she said, what if we could offer microorganisms? And I started looking at like, well, okay, when I was in Cali and I lived out in California for quite a few years, I had the agricultural wine industry teach me about beneficial nematodes. And they do it as an application service for the wine vineyards, the cannabis people up in Humboldt County. And it's just something that they use. And then all organic foods like Whole Foods, they use these microorganisms. Canada, it's the only type of pest control that's allowed. And I thought, well, geez, when I walk into Whole Foods, the head of lettuce is this big. When I walk into Whole Foods, the tomatoes are greener. Canada is so pretty.
Mhm.
And they have food, and they have food that they can eat, viable soil. So my niece and my daughter asked me to help them. And I have been leading this direction with organic parasite services. And it is something that we're doing right now in Michigan and Indiana. And then we're coming into Florida, and we're working with the Veterans Administration, and we're employing veterans that may not necessarily be a fit for like telecom work or standard work in that vernacular, but then also having the vets work with students of biological and scientific research studies in that arena gives them purpose. So just as we defined with people having like that emotional reaction, having vets that fought for frontline, and then having students that are working towards potentially, you know, where we don't have to eat bugs in 60 years because our foods and agriculture.
Yeah, definitely. This is super interesting topic for me. And in fact, like all solutions that are environmentally friendly.
Oh, great.
You know, I love it. And especially because like for food, right? Like there is so much pesticides used to grow our food, vegetables and fruits, that you know what we are eating, then like, you know, it causes many diseases. And so like this is so great solution. I'm thinking like why it couldn't be used for a greater scale, I mean for a bigger scale, because I have a feeling that it's not used, you know, for a big productions of food like by bigger companies, because you know, I think I will ask, that's why I asked Stacey, but like I think because fruits or vegetables grow faster with those pesticides, they they don't have diseases in itself, like, so it's more kind of efficient solution. But of course it's harmful for the soil, for us.
Probably less expensive to produce with the pesticides, probably as well. And is that considered what they consider the GRAS products? What it says is an acronym for what generally recognized as safe?
This is OMRE, or organic, USDA certified in all 50 states. And it is the only type of pest control that the Native Americans have certified and deemed viable for livestock and or people. Most importantly, it is for water quality. So whenever someone has the, you know, your standard big chem companies come out to their residentials, more than 50% of that goes into runoff, which impacts our water quality. Water quality creates pathogen exchange or cellular mutation in people. One of the prevalent problems, and I thought that men would be all over this with pathogens, is erectile dysfunction. You know, ED, if it's causing their penises not to work, we'll go back to the sex talk thing. Maybe they'd be jumping on that.
So you two, there you go. Both of you and Casa. I'm over here just chilling.
It is interesting, the margins in the chem companies, and if you think about who the owners of the chem companies are very very heavy, about 800 to 900% margin. So they've been making billions of dollars by actually polluting and poisoning people and livestock and animals. The rake, as far as what the take in, and I still use these casino terms, the rake, Bruce, I said it.
Could you explain that to Casa for a minute without getting too far off the subject so she knows what
Absolutely. So when someone craps out, you rake it on in, or on a baccarat table, you clean up, and then you have to mighty muck, and that mucking is picking up checks and reloading all of that that's in front of you in your bank. And
poker game.
You keep going, just keep going. So the hustle and the muscle is that since 1979, the United States Department of Agriculture had known and had accredited micro IPM, the beneficial nematodes, as a viable and highly sustainable way to create soil and soil regeneration ongoing. The chem company said, we're making all this money, we're going to kill everything at the same time, and we can to the point that Bruce made, we can do it faster with a higher concentration of chemical in aerial type applications for crops and agriculture. Now, those major crops where the United States were growing, the soil is dead and it is dust. But it's natural and innately they should be found in the ground. And now that we've killed them, we don't have any carbon offset. So the most important thing in all of this, and when we think about how does it work, is it's the basic fundamental that is in the ground, that the roots of the trees and the plants, they have either they thrive and survive or they die and go away. And we're seeing more and more things go away, including honeybees and pollinators and different species of birds and all of these things. And that etiology, that cycle of life, those things will continue to rapidly go away. And humans are ultimately on the food chain too. So it's, you know, setting that good precedence and really encouraging, like I said, my daughter and my niece to keep going for it and not accepting no. So they have large contracts that are on the table. And then it's scaling with the residential consumers that we get out and meet with when we can. And a lot of it is education and lack of knowledge. Only in America can I have the casino on my cell phone, drugs delivered to my door, and a male hooker show up at night. And it's all legal.
It's a class 1 drug, first of all, but it's not really. They're going to change the category for marijuana because it's not heroin. Nobody dies from cannabis. So I know what you're talking about. So that's another subject. Man, you're incredible. You're pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Thank you. When I did Peace Talk Lady, that was probably one of the funnest things that I siphoned in to inspire my daughter.
Tell us about that, the Peace Talk ladies show. Is that what it was called? The Peace Talk?
It was, yes, Peace Talk Lady. So when I was out on the road, and I travel probably about 40% travel, I started Peace Talk Lady, and Peace Talk Lady was a way for people to answer 3 questions. 1, do you believe that peace is possible? 2, what represents to you a peaceful thing? It can be anything. It can be a rainbow.
Why ladies? Why did you have it lady? With Peace Talk people, men and women?
I was a lady. It could be. I ask all kinds of lady. Peace Talk ladies.
Okay.
Well, and the reason that I like ladies is because, like Beyonce, a lot of women have tried to get people to start looking at, like, why are we fighting? When I was little, we were afraid of the Russians, and then we were afraid of these guys, and then we were afraid of why are we fighting right now? Why is Russia doing that? I thought when we got out of COVID, the world was going to be a better place, and then we had a war start, and that was just a surprise, I think, to the whole world, but maybe not to some as much as I'd like to say. Respectfully, Peace Talk Lady was just a way for people to express if they believed that, you know, something was possible, like peace. Is it attainable? And what I arrive at in this conversation is that it's very personal. So just like the greed of money and the greed of wanting to be successful and that strife, when you start talking to people about how they feel on subject matters like peace or love or relationships, peace is very personal. Some people would say God was their peaceful thing. My sweetest interview was with a little guy, and he said that mice were peaceful. That was his peaceful thing, because they didn't want anything. All they want to do is just eat. But I went around and I did all these interviews for quite some time. I have a couple hundred of them on recording. They're pretty cool. And one day maybe I'll throw a book together or something. But
is it still running, this podcast?
I have not even started a podcast for that endeavor. I think it's fun. I know that Beyonce, she started with a campaign to go into concerts for peace and awareness and human trafficking. And I like to say this too, the reason that Peace Talk Lady is that I think that every woman, no matter if they're with a child or they're a sister or an aunt or a daughter, all of us start off in the same, every human, it starts off beautiful. And I don't believe in any bad people. I just truly do adopt that people just choose to do bad things. And at the core of every lady that I've met, no matter good, bad, mean, snarly, they have this soft side to them. And then in meeting with a lot of gentlemen and a lot of men, and they have that same soft core side inside of them. So we all strive to be in a peaceful place.
Yeah.
We're just imposed upon with all of these, I like to say, reaccultured beliefs and why we can't homogenize and work
Based
together.
on values, right?
Absolutely.
And like yeah, this is like interesting thing about the piece. And I wanted to ask you a question about what's your experience at your work, maybe in casino, when you were working in casino, or like other jobs, maybe in this pest control industry. Did you have to fight for your positions, like with men, and like what's your experience?
What was it that you have on your outline? You mentioned Casa. Did you remember seeing that?
Yes. This was it's
man's
hard to
world.
be a woman in a male-dominated industry.
It is. I'm in a lot of the groups in wireless where women in telecom. So just as when I went into management in the gaming industry and I had to manage Playboy bunnies, I had some bad bunnies, Bruce. They were bad. But as a lady, when women are assertive and women are strong, women are often perceived as being, a bitch, or they don't care, or maybe they're crass, or they're brazen, or, oh, well, I often correct a lot of ladies when they say, I'm sorry. Like we say, I'm sorry so many times throughout our day. Oh, I'm sorry. Why am I saying I'm sorry? I'm not sorry at all. I'm beautiful. I'm bold. I'm out there. The only thing I'm sorry about is that it took me all these years later to realize that I'm not sorry. And I often tell till today, I said it. I wish I was born a man sometimes, because men come in and if a guy is straight up and strong and has strength and strife and education and experience, it's wow, he's a boss. When a woman comes in with strength and strife and experience, oh, she's a bitch. Yeah. Oh, she's adversarial. She's not easy to work with.
I agree. I agree, and I wholeheartedly agree. However, I think also because of the culture and society that we have a tendency, or women, and I say as an African American, we have a tendency to break in. We sort of overcompensate. I think that women sometimes, because they want to be perceived as having that force, and they have a voice at the table, and the pressures of now times you're the only one that all eyes are on you, so you kind of overcompensate. We grew up with tanks and toy soldiers and things like that, and guns and cowboy costumes. The ladies had Barbie dolls and all that kind of stuff like that. So I think, and I'm not an expert on that, far from it.
Sure.
But just my general understanding is that women, I think, overcompensate. Hey, listen, what do you mean? And so it's almost we feel disrespected. That's just my opinion.
And Bruce, like from your perspective, from a male perspective, like, did you see like discrimination on women?
In this discussion, just to identify and understand the point I'm trying to make here is that I've seen women who overcompensated,
Yes.
And I know men that have right now that is a bitch, asshole, motherfucker, and everything else. And it gets away with it.
And I've seen that as well. And I think the important identifier is that when I was JROTC Marines, and then I got pregnant, and then I was kicked out because I didn't go have an abortion, I took an oath to, when I first, that is a part of my life. That's part of my journey. I took an oath to preserve and protect innocent things. Well, I didn't conceive my daughter out of a mishap with a rape or something like incest, which is very horrifying for a lady to go through. But when the Colonel of the United States Marine Corps calls you up and you're only 19 years old and says you're ruining your life, get to the base, and in 2 weeks we'll have you up and running. And then you say, no, I'm going to think about this, and I have this child, and I wasn't Wonka play with a Barbie doll, I wanted to shoot my AK-47 and I wanted to learn how to be a Marine. I really wanted to be a sniper, but women weren't allowed to do that. I just like to shoot things, right? Why not? It's fun. And
we saw your gun behind you. So
I grew up with 2 older brothers. I mean, I didn't have like, my hand-me-downs were like, Tonka truck and then, my ex-husband ran off with a stripper named Barbie. So we didn't even have those in my house with my kid. She had brats. No Barbie. Barbies weren't allowed. But the idea is that, I had more rights 28 years ago than I have now as a woman in the United States. And I had the right to
In
have
what
an
sense?
abortion.
what do you
I
mean
could
by
have an
that?
abortion.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
I could have an abortion 28 years ago, and I could have that freely, and it was offered to me by our federal government, and the branch of the military was the United States Marine Corps. Once when I saw that, and I saw that they would, as an E3, which is an officer coming in, they would ask me to go kill my baby. That's not protecting an innocent life. So it's already a double standard.
Okay, so say that differently because I didn't hear it correctly. I don't think you have more rights, but you have more rights. You're saying you miss some of the rights you had, and one of those rights that you had was to be able to kill a baby.
No, I had more.
You said.
I'm saying that the times have changed, and as we evolve here, and we start thinking about, like the overcompensation in women, and sometimes overcompensation in men. Short guys get big trucks. I call it short man syndrome. There's all kinds of like weird things. I don't know. People put a wig on or toupee, or men with their fake hair, but in that time and era, I had the option presented to me to take a child and take an unborn baby and get rid of it, because I needed to fill a metric in that group as far as the people they were bringing in. I was an E3, a WM, a woman Marine. You're ruining your life. I was going to be a lawyer, which is kind of like a salesperson.
You are. But here's Stacey though, and I can picture that general giving you direction and from his position as a leader of a platoon or of a base, because normally generals or whatever would be like the mayor of the city, a base.
Right, he's a colonel.
A colonel, okay, the same thing, a division. It could be a large military base. The colonel is the head of that base. He is the president or CEO, so to speak. And so he's looking at it not necessarily from a man's point of view. He's looking at it as a military point of view in their position. And that was that understanding or expectation that he communicated to you. That was conventional. That was conventional, not because you were a woman or female. I don't think he looked at it that way. And going back to your question, did I see discrimination in women?
Yeah.
I don't think I recognized it. Okay. I probably recognized not being included, not non-inclusion. I didn't recognize necessarily discrimination, because.
And what's the reason? What do you think?
Because we weren't aware. We didn't. Awareness wasn't heightened during that century back then. A lot of things have changed. Mentalities and cultures have changed, right? The things that you can say and do then, you cannot say or even breathe now without being accused of creating a hostile environment or something,
We've certainly changed. The morality compass is different, and it's changed very, very dramatically from when I had that colonel who was doing his due diligence, who did give me from a corporate leadership vernacular, hey, look, you're going to ruin this. This is a shot at, I'd be a lawyer in 2 years. I would have had a different life. And it goes when I was hired at the casino at that same time, I was also hired at Shelby Township, Michigan for an E911 role to be an operator. And it was like, do I take the E911 operator role or do I go deal at a casino? And it was just the casino this was like so much funner. And it also afforded education, opportunity, and learning many different things led me to where I am today. So I'm proud of that decision. And it's just making decisions, embracing the decision, and then taking that next step in the choice in life where you can't erase your past, but today and tomorrow is where we make our future. And
Mhm.
there's so many cool things that people do all the time. I meet cool people all the time because I live in Detroit. So
Mhm.
we are the most neat, unique group. We work together. We're side by side. We have diversity. We have divisibility. We have a lot of folks here from all over the world. And it's such a cultural melting pot.
Yeah,
But when I lived
Motown.
yeah, Florida was like that. Then I went to LA, then I went to and all the different places. The one thing I can say, a smile is universal. And I love to just make people feel that joy and
Yeah.
their worth, because everybody has worth. So it's just identifying that and getting folks to see that within themselves is I think the aim and what I aspire to do in my day-to-day job, representing access control and security. And with Johnson Controls buying SES, that was an acquisition a little bit over a year ago.
Mhm.
I harden assets that are out in the field, and I provide these insights that people have never seen. Who's there? Why were they there? What were they doing? And when you pull back all the layers on all the technology, people are like, oh, that's because people want to watch us. That's because people want to see what we're doing. All of this is for safety. So when we talk about intelligence, and then we talk about artificial intelligence and modernization and safety and where we're headed into, yes, a global sense of awareness. But I also think that in an abstract way, it draws away from the individual sense of identifying, hey, I'm important just as I am. And I do think that's why people do these crazy things on like YouTubes and stuff. And everybody wants to get famous really fast. Be famous in your family's life. Be famous to your kid, because guess what? These moments that you have in these small increments of time, even with that customer interface, that's what they're going to remember, is how you
Yes.
made them feel.
Somebody said, not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be excellent
Yes, that's a
in
perfect
his
way.
I like that.
environment. Be great person to your family, to your friends, like in your surrounding, in
Sure,
what you are doing at your job.
even with coworkers,
Mhm.
Bruce, you were always smiling, and Bruce always had a smile every day. He'd walk in, he was dressed so nice and smile, and oh my gosh, all the ladies were, oh, Bruce.
Get out of here. No, because it
I
was
remember.
because there were brownie points to the shift manager, not because I was so smooth or anything.
No, the ladies were no, they're smooth, and then there's shift manager. They did, and it was, and you had even, from the homo and the heterosexual sect, you're Bruce,
You're
Yeah.
very open-minded, and you're picking the topics like, this is interesting. I will be involved in this, and it's great. And like I'm thinking, how do you combine like everything together? And like you have like more hours than everybody else.
No, we only have 168 hours in a week, and it's really important to create a time chart for yourself. My current career, I'm at about 55 to 60 hours, and then with the ops, I'm pulling more than 40. So I start at 7 and I end at 11, typical day, 7 to 1. And then Saturdays I do my morning work, and I have a yard and a garden, and I have 3 dogs I walk every day, and everything has a time allocation to it. So whenever I allot time to something, it's really, to me, one, the allotment of time is essential. And then the respect of that time for myself and for those that I'm engaging with, and, even for family and dating. I've been married now twice, so I'm happily divorced a second time.
With all of the things that you are involved with, as Casa just said, and the allocation of time that you have in different boxes in your life, you don't look not 1 ounce of stress. I mean,
No, not at all. That's true.
you're so just chill, and it is so cool. And I'm taking some of your energy and I'm putting it in one of my toolboxes and over. I'm kind of chill too, but Casa tell you I get a little rammed up because I have a lot of different projects as well, and they don't get the best of me. But and I'm an old guy. I'm very old. Like you said, if those people are passing away, I'm right there. And you're very chill. I don't know what you have in that cup, but
And you didn't even feel, you didn't even look tired.
I just love my family, and I've also come to embrace the fact that I make a difference in so many people's lives every single day, and always, as far as the long-term goal, I want to continue to educate myself, and education by way of exposure, listening to people. When I was young and you were my boss, I used to use this a lot. Now I use my ears a lot more, and I listen, and that's a skill. And I want to listen a lot more, and eventually get some of this stuff written down so I can make that that next advancement. When I go over, I'm going to go to a great place. And my dogs are going to start barking, but yeah, that's my goal. Is just
they're excited.
Yeah, pay it forward.
That's great. The AI can write your book for you now. They say, right?
I have Bart. I'm actually a candidate. I received him.
Yeah, I got Bart also. Yeah.
Yeah, he's different.
Yeah, that's great. It's fantastic. And but I tell you what, you have made our podcast a better podcast by having you as a guest, right?
Anytime.
Yes, definitely.
Casa, it's so nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. You too.
Thank you. Everyone, I'm going to tune out and get back to my my golden handcuffs. Got to go back to work and get some people accessing. And I will keep you posted, Bruce. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. You're going to hear from us. Thanks for being on Cheques Play Casino Podcast. We really, really adore the conversation. It was really wonderful. Thank you so much, Stacey. Stacey Noble, the SES, Johnson Controls. And listen for Lady Talk. I probably had that wrong, but listen for Lady Talk Podcast. And we're going to help promote your podcast. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.